Let me say something that might sting a little, but you know is true. You don't trust yourself, even when you're right. Because how many times have you had that feeling, that quiet, instant knowing about a situation, a person, a decision, and then ignored it? You second guess it. You overthought it. You asked someone else. You told yourself you were being dramatic, overreacting, or just not sure. And then what happened? A few days later, a few weeks later, sometimes even months later, you realized, I knew that. I literally knew that from the start. And that moment, that's the part we need to talk about, because it's not just frustrating. It's a pattern where you don't trust yourself until it's too late to act on it cleanly. And the worst part, every time that happens, you don't build trust in yourself. You reinforce the belief that you can't trust yourself, which isn't true. You're not lacking intuition. You're overriding it. And this is exactly what June is bringing to the surface, because we're working with Energy Body 6, the intuitive body, the part of you that already knows. And in a universal year one, where your life is asking you to step into a new identity, make aligned decisions, and actually lead your life, you cannot take self-doubt with you. It won't come. So if you've been stuck in that cycle of knowing but not acting, feeling but not trusting, seeing but not choosing, this video is going to break that down for you properly. Not in a surface level way, but in a way that actually changes how you move. If you're new here, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm your spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And on this channel, we don't just talk about healing. We change the patterns that are keeping you stuck so you can actually step into the life you keep saying you want. So before we go any deeper, if you're ready to stop second guessing yourself, trust your intuition, and actually start backing who you are, hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join this space, because this isn't just content. This is where you rebuild your relationship with yourself. Now let's get into why this keeps happening. Before we go any further, we need to clean something up, because most of you have been taught the wrong definition of self-trust. You think self-trust looks like feeling confident all the time, being 100% certain before you make a decision, never questioning yourself, and always getting it right. But that's not self-trust. That's control. And life doesn't work like that. Self-trust isn't about certainty. It's about backing yourself without it. It's the ability to make a decision and stand by it, to feel unsure and still move forward, to not have all the answers and still choose. And this is where most people get stuck, because you've been waiting for a feeling that isn't required. You've been telling yourself, trust myself when I feel more confident. I'll decide when I'm sure. I just need more clarity first. Clarity doesn't come before the decision. It comes through it. And this is exactly where your intuition, your Energy Body 6 comes in, because your intuition doesn't give you full certainty. It gives you direction, a pull, a knowing, a sense of what feels right or off, and then it leaves the rest to you. And if you're expecting it to give you guarantees, you're going to keep doubting it, because that's not its job. Its job is to guide you. Your job is to trust it enough to move. And this is the shift we're making from I need to be sure before I act to I trust myself enough to figure it out as I go, because that's what self-trust actually looks like. Not perfection, not certainty, but a willingness to choose and back yourself in that choice. And in a universal year one where everything is asking you to step into a new identity, this becomes non-negotiable, because the version of you who trusts herself doesn't wait for guarantees. She decides, and that's the version of you we're building this month. So now let's go into the real root. So if self-trust isn't about confidence and it's not about certainty, then why don't you trust yourself? So let's be real about it, because this isn't random. There are patterns underneath this that have been building for years. The first one is conditioning. If you've been someone who people pleases, avoids conflict, or prioritizes being liked, then you've been trained to look outside of yourself. You were taught to think about how your decisions affect other people, make choices that keep the peace, be agreeable, accommodating, easy to be around. So instead of asking, what do I actually want? You learn to ask, what will make this easier for everyone else? And the more you do that, the less you reference yourself. The second reason is past experiences, times where you made a decision and it didn't go how you expected. And instead of seeing this as part of life, you made it mean, I can't trust myself. I got it wrong. I should have known better. So now every time you feel that intuitive pull, your mind jumps in and says, remember the last time? What if you mess this up again? Better double check. And just like that, doubt takes over. The third reason is overthinking replacing intuition, because you've spent so long analyzing processes and trying to figure things out that you're starting to trust your thoughts more than your instincts. You believe that if you just think about it long enough, you'll find the perfect answer. But the truth is, overthinking doesn't create clarity. It creates noise, and that noise drowns out your intuitive voice. So instead of hearing that first clean signal, you're stuck in layers of what if, maybe, I'm not sure. And then you tell yourself you're confused, but you're not confused. You're overwhelmed by your own thinking. And here's the part I want you to really hear. You've been building evidence against yourself. Every time you ignore your intuition, every time you ask someone else instead of trusting your answer, every time you overrode what you felt was right, you reinforced the belief, I can't trust myself. Not because it's true, but because you keep proving it to yourself. And this is why this pattern feels so strong, because it's not just a thought, it's a habit, a repeated behavior that's been running for years. But here's the good news. If you've built that pattern through repetition, you can build self-trust the same way, through new decisions, new behaviors, new evidence. And that's exactly what we're shifting this month. So let's lay this out clearly, because once you see this pattern, you're going to start catching it in real time. This is the loop you've been running. You feel something, a knowing, a sense that something is right or not right. That first clean intuitive signal. And for a moment, it's clear. Then immediately doubt comes in. Wait, what if I'm wrong? Maybe I'm overthinking this. I should probably check in with someone else. So instead of acting on that initial knowing, you pause, you start analyzing it, you go over it again and again in your head. Then you seek validation, you ask someone else, you look for reassurance, you search for confirmation. And in that moment, you've already moved away from your truth, because now you're not asking, what do I feel is right? You're asking, what will make me feel safe about this decision? And then this is the part that really matters. You override yourself. You either ignore your intuition completely or water it down to make it more acceptable, or delay acting on it until the moment passes. And eventually you end up in a situation where things don't feel right, where you're frustrated, where you're drained, where you're thinking, why did I do that? And that's when you realize, and that's when the realization hits. I knew this. I literally knew this from the start. And that moment, that's where the loop completes. Because instead of using that as evidence that you can trust yourself, you use it as proof that you don't. You reinforce the belief, I should have known better. I don't trust myself. And then the next time a decision comes up, you doubt yourself even faster. That's how the loop strengthens. Not because your intuition is wrong, but because your behavior keeps disconnecting you from it. And this is why it feels like nothing changes. Because the pattern isn't being interrupted, it's being repeated over and over again. So moving forward, I want you to start noticing this. The moment right after you feel something, but before you question it, that split second where your intuition is clear, because that's the point where the loop can be broken. Not later, not after you've overthought it for an hour, right there. That's where your power is. Now we raise the stakes. So let's bring this into where you actually are right now, because this isn't just something to work on eventually. This is happening inside a universal year one, and year one doesn't play softly. This is the year of new identity, new standards, new decisions, new ways of showing up in your life. And here's the part most people don't fully take in. You don't become a new version of yourself by thinking about it. You become it through the decisions you make every day, which means if you're still stuck in that loop of feel, doubt, overthink, ask, override, you're reinforcing the old version of you, the one who doesn't trust herself, needs reassurance, waits for permission. And then you tell yourself you want change, but your behavior is still aligned with who you used to be. And that's why it feels like nothing is shifting. Not because you don't know what to do, but because you're not doing anything differently. And this is where June with Energy Body 6 activates and becomes powerful, because your intuition is clearer right now, stronger, more direct. You're seeing things faster, feeling misalignment quicker, recognizing what's not right for you sooner. And that's not random, that's support. That's your system saying, here, this is what you need to be changing. This is what you need to do, need to change. But here's the truth. Clarity without action changes nothing. You can see everything clearly and still stay in the same place. So this month is asking you one thing. Are you going to trust what you already know? Not when it's easy, not when it's comfortable, when it actually requires you to choose differently, because that's what creates the shift. not more awareness, but aligned decisions. So if you've been saying, I want something different, then this is where you prove it. In the next decision you make, in the next moment where you feel that instinct, in the next opportunity to either follow the pattern or break it, because that's what year one responds to. Not intention, but action. So now let's bring it back into action. So if you're seeing this pattern clearly now, the question becomes, how do you actually start trusting yourself again? Not in theory, not in a I get it now kind of way, but in a way that actually changes your behavior. And it starts here. The first thing is catch the moment before the doubt, because that's where everything shifts. Right after you feel something, that first instinct, that quiet knowing, there's a split second before your mind jumps in. That's the moment. That's where your intuition is clean. So your job isn't to eliminate doubt. It's to act before it takes over, even if it's small, even if it feels unfamiliar, because that's how you interrupt the loop. The second thing is start small, but be consistent. You don't need to make huge life-changing decisions straight away, but you do need to start choosing differently in the moment that matters. Say no when you want to say no. Speak up when you feel something isn't right. Make a decision without asking 5 other opinions first, because every time you do that, you create new evidence that says, I can trust myself. And this is how self-trust is rebuilt, not through one big moment, but through repetition. The third thing is stop using discomfort as a sign that you're wrong, because this is where most people slip. You follow your intuition and then it feels uncomfortable and your mind goes, see, that wasn't right, but that's not what's happening. It feels uncomfortable because it's different. You're stepping out of people pleasing, out of overthinking, out of needing reassurance. Your nervous system isn't used to that yet. So instead of pulling back, I want you to stay with it. Let it feel uncomfortable. Let it be new, because that discomfort is actually a sign that you're breaking the pattern. And the last piece, and this is the one that changes everything, is start backing yourself after you decide. Because it's not just about making the decision. It's about what you do after. Do you stand by it, or do you immediately start questioning it again, looking for reassurance, replaying it in your head, wondering if you did the right thing? Because if you do that, you go straight back into the loop. So once you choose, stay with it. Let that decision be enough, because self-trust isn't built in the moment of choice alone. It's built in what you do after. And the more you repeat this, the more that voice inside you gets stronger, clearer, easier to follow. That's how you rebuild your relationship with yourself, not by waiting to feel different, but by moving differently first. So let's bring this back to you, because at this point, you already know. You know what your intuition feels like. You know when you've ignored it. You know where you've been second guessing yourself. So the real question isn't, do I understand this? It's, am I going to keep repeating the pattern, or am I going to break it? Because that loop we talked about, it doesn't stop on its own. It only changes when you do, in the moment where you feel something and choose to trust it instead of questioning it. In the moment where you want to ask someone else and you don't. In the moment where it feels uncomfortable and you stay with your decision anyway. That's where this work actually happens. Not in big dramatic life changes, but in these small everyday choices where you either back yourself or abandon yourself. And no one can do that part for you. Not me, not anyone else. This is where you decide who you're becoming, because the version of you who trusts herself, she doesn't wait for certainty. She doesn't need permission. She chooses and she backs it. So if this hits something in you, if you're seeing the pattern clearly now, don't just leave it here, because awareness without action is exactly why nothing changes. So first, make sure you hit subscribe and tap the notification bell, because this whole series of June is designed to rebuild your self-trust step by step. And the next video, we're going to take you even deeper into actually trusting your intuition and acting on it. And second, if you're ready to start applying this properly, I've got something for you. You can grab my free boundary bootcamp in the description box below. It's going to help you stop people pleasing, set real boundaries, and actually follow through on what you know is right for you. And if you're done sitting in the cycle of knowing but not acting, if you're ready to actually trust yourself and move forward, then book a free 30-minute stop people pleasing breakthrough session with me. This is where we take this pattern and break it properly, so you stop doubting yourself and start living in alignment with what you already know. No more waiting, no more second guessing, just clarity, self-trust, and decisions that actually move your life forward. And if you don't know what your numbers are in your numerology chart yet, I also have a free numerology guide in the description box below, so you can know what your numbers are for you. So I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.